an expert, but I've learned a few things. Oh, I've been coaching for about 4.5 years. So I'm getting to the point of where they call it beachbody old. Is that like the term? So some of you guys, I don't know, you guys are probably been teaching for or coaching for like 6 months and you're already like 5-star, which is amazing. So great. But I've learned a few things, especially as it relates to trying to appeal to a specific clientele. So I'm going to share my screen here, and hopefully this will help you on your journey, because I know this has been really helpful for my coaches particularly. Okay, so one of the things I want to specifically talk about today is the fact that we tend to, as it relates to social media, a lot of times we'll tend to sort of kind of be all over the board. Okay, so it's like, hey, today I'm going to post this cute thing about my kid, and then the next day, it's like, hey, I've got this cool recipe thing, and so there's not really a sense of kind of a cohesion sometimes to that. And what can happen, guys, and I don't know if you ever fall into this trap, because I sometimes have done this in the past, and I still do it on occasion, is you fall into the likes trap, right? Can you all see it, by the way? Can you all see? Let's see, hold on. Okay, good. So just understanding that we fall into the likes trap. So it's like, hey, I'm going to post this thing because I think it's going to probably get some likes, okay? And is anybody guilty? No, just me. That's all right. Because you want to post something because you, of course, want it in the feed, and you want it to kind of get your message out there. And it might even be something about your kid for this time, but the next post that you got coming up is going to be about a challenge, right? And you want to make sure that it's got kind of a boosted sense in the algorithm. I want to have you focus in, and that's fine, we can do that on occasion, but I really want to have us focus in on what it means to define your ideal client. And then based on defining your ideal client, it's going to really structure a lot of your social media strategy. And it's also ultimately going to structure kind of your whole business. So if you've not really done this exercise and really dialed it in, I would challenge you to do it. And I'm going to take you through a little journey that I went through myself not so long ago. So this week, know who you're talking to. Okay, and I want to introduce to you somebody, guys, and her name is Amy, okay? And this is like, wow, there's 2 people there. How can they both? Yes, they're both named, I don't know, maybe they're both named Amy. Actually, one is named Amy, which is kind of funny. The other gal I just pulled off the internet. But anyway, I want to introduce to you Amy, and here's the idea. She is, which is kind of strange for a guy, you go, wait a minute, I thought guys are supposed to only reach out to guys. What's that all about? Sorry. I have realized in this business that, yes, guys will be collateral for me, and I will still get guys to kind of come into the business just because I'm a guy. But I've realized that the business builders, all of my business builders are on my team, are women, and they fit almost to a T into Amy's profile that I'm going to show you real quick here in a second, okay? And so if I were just going to force the issue and go, I'm going to find more of me, as you can tell, I'm already kind of a weird, not a normal guy. So when it comes to that, to try to find a bunch of me's is going to be probably not so much going to be so successful. So I went through this kind of questioning process, and I would encourage you to do a similar thing. But I'm going to introduce you a little bit about Amy. And here's some specific attributes about Amy. So Amy, she's a female. She's 35 through 45. She tends to be a guy girl versus the girly girl, which for some of you, maybe you appeal to more of a girly girl. That's great. She relates to guys better than women, like as I said that. She's married, generally has somewhere about 2 to 3 kids, maybe late elementary through high school. She's driven. I'm going to hate to just read this to you, but I do want to read it because I think I can highlight a few things. Likes a challenge, which I think is really important, why I actually brand my things challenge groups versus support groups. Some people choose to go support. I tend to go towards challenge because I think that's who my market appeals to, okay? She's too busy, and I'm going to go real specific. She likes romantic comedies, but with a little bit of edge. So she likes Bridesmaids, which is going to have a little bit more edge to it. She owns a Kindle, but doesn't finish books because of lack of time. Struggles with fashion because of time and money, wants to go on a yearly vacation with family, but again, money is an issue. Amy needs structure And maybe you can relate to some of these things because maybe some of these are actually you, could be. Needs structure. She struggles with believing on occasion that she can. She does have a fitness bent, and maybe she was a former athlete in high school. And I stole this quote, this next one here, exactly from a person who is in my target. And she's funny. She said, I love books like that give you something to think about every day. So she likes a book like, okay, there's it's like a either daily devotional or it's something where it's like a daily thing. She likes that kind of a thing versus just read this whole book now. Again, that's probably a time issue because she likes short sound bites or shorter bites that she can digest versus, hey, digest this whole book. Stories motivator. Mostly she's on Facebook. She dabbles a bit in Instagram, in Pinterest. She reads Oprah magazine and Real Simple. Spiritual, because I have a spiritual bent. I'm a former pastor. Goes to church, but not sure how it fits into everything. Okay, so she's got this faith integration. So I'm going to help my structure things that would help with that. She'd love a guy that I read a lot. His name's Rob Bell. I've exposed to him. She loves coffee. She's coffee addict, loves it, loves Starbucks, loves the whole thing, and the whole lifestyle that kind of comes around that. Like simple recipes that feed her family, motivational quotes at the right time. Last set here, guys. I'm sorry, I want to kind of overdo it, but I just kind of give you an idea how very specific I went into this. I'm actually working on the next step of this I'll talk about in just a second, which is a narrative that's based on Amy a little bit. Okay. Actually, no, I did this. Likes romantic. Yep, sorry. Already did this slide. Very good. Pain points. So her pain points, and these are important. She struggles with that work-home balance, and she's always has a sense of guilt, right? She's always going, she's a career woman because she works, so she's always going, man, job, family, job, family, they're pulling. I'm not good at either of those, and I feel like I want to be better at both. How do I do this? How do I find this? And so that's a strong motivator. She's also struggles with being present because her mind's going 50,000 different directions. So she can't focus in because she's too scattered with trying to do too many things and she's trying to put out too many fires. She struggles with time management in order to get the important things done. So she's got task lists probably, but she's got so much going on that she often doesn't, the time management, she's got the task list, but she's often like getting lesser important things done. So she's got get laundry done, but like create a system for laundry. I don't know, whatever isn't going to probably happen so much. Struggles with self-care, hasn't lost the baby weight. She wants to honor her spouse or even God with her body, but she doesn't really know how to do that yet. She knows her kids are watching her because they're a little bit older, and she's somewhat aware of it. So she's like, she knows that her kids are like, okay, mom's not really taking care of herself. Maybe they're not even thinking that yet, but they can see the patterns that she's setting up. And also struggles with negative self-talk. Okay, so very specific set of things. I hated it. I didn't want to, so you may go, oh, why did I read all that? I wanted to give you, so maybe you are thinking, even with one of these, just a few of these points where they're practical and specific, rather than give you the principles here, I wanted to give you exactly who Amy is to me, so then you can create your Amy. Who is your Amy? And you can name her whatever you want. I mean, you can name her like, I don't know, Ariel from Little Mermaid or whatever. Look at this stuff. And so what you can do with this is create basically an avatar. Okay, so a lot of people in social media talk about this as the social media avatar. I hate the word avatar because it reminds me of Blue People in a movie that I didn't really like very much. So I talk about the ideal client a little bit more, which anyway, so kind of deciding who your Amy is, okay, is going to help you in a lot of ways, okay? And the questions to ask as it relates to this: what does she like? What are her general attitudes and beliefs? And then there's demographics. So you can do the specifics. And I think a lot of people will have those demographics. Well, they'll go like, yeah, okay, she's married and she's got a few kids and she's that, but the specifics of her pain points, we've got to go deeper in, because that's how then ultimately it's going to structure things that we're going to talk about here in just a second. Okay. So if you know who your avatar, sorry to use the word, but to use this Amy person, whoever you create, how then do you structure your social media? Okay, so let's go back here for just a second, and let's go up to Amy here. And so structuring social media. You're on a Friday afternoon. Nothing's much happening, right? You don't want to, I call that the dead zone for my coaches. Don't post a lot of, don't invite Friday mid-afternoon or something when people are driving home from work to ask them to join a challenge. Probably not the time to do that. But at that point, you might go, because she likes romantic comedies, you might post a meme from some romantic comedy that you love. This is one of my favorite romantic. What's your favorite chick flick for the weekend? Totally. Then you're going to add, oh yeah. And you're going to start to see those people click in because they feel you. You feel that same person. Okay. Or let's get a little bit more specific as it relates for fitness. Okay. Struggles with self-care. That's a main issue. So as you title maybe a social media post, or maybe you're telling a story about yourself, one of the ways that I struggled, and this is for me, and I can even say this, but to me, is that I struggled with having to work basically 2 jobs. I was working 2 jobs and trying to make ends meet in order to provide for my family. And so I lost myself. And you could say literally the title of the post, I lost myself, might be a good example. And then you can kind of share again what's your way back to finding. And again, everybody loves a story, right? From you want to help put them in the hero position as they hear your story. So you can hear them say, or you say, hey, this is where I was, this is what I found, and now this is how I'm like. And you guys understand that, probably that's the aspects of a transformation story. So as we use that, struggles with self-care, maybe this is you. Is it time for your change? And I'm sure you guys have seen a billion posts on this. But again, I'm giving you a specific example of how it relates to my Amy and helping her figure this out. Or this is a great example because my wife and I both do this. We posted I do these Faith and Fitness Fridays on occasion. And my wife and I, we did a video together about honoring our spouse with our body. That's where this little thing came out of, because I got a lot of people reacting, and they all wanted me to make sure I had that recorded. I did a Facebook Live on it, and I knew that, man, part of my job as a husband is to not just look good, but we talked about how I wanted to feel good, how I wanted her to feel good about what she was like, because she had come to this point, and we told this story straight out in our in this Facebook Live, where she was kind of looking at me when I was about 38, 39, and kind of looking at my body and going, well, I guess I'm just being truthful. And it was just like this. Yep, I guess this is what I'm stuck with. That's sort of what she said in her brain. And she admitted that to me later. Of course, not at the moment. She didn't admit that. But the cool thing was now is to go, wow, I made so much progress to helping honor her. So visually, she feels like that, and my strength, my energy, and then also the fact that I can be a much more energetic husband to her because of all this thing. So self-care, honoring your spouse. You see what I'm doing on that? So I think it's the more I can get into her mind, and you guys have probably heard the phrase, and I hate to use it because it's just not my thing, but when you get into bed with your client, right, that's the worst way of saying it, but it's the pain points that they keep them up at night in bed. Okay, that's the whole thing. So but that's the phrase to use. And so when we can think about pain points, then the more we can solve those. So as it relates back to social media.
So can I just jump in really quick there?
Yeah, go ahead.
So one of the phrases that I really like is the whole phrase of, you're not going to change until the pain of your life outweighs the pain of change.
Very much.
You know what I mean? So yep. I like the fact that you're identifying what the pain points are for these people, not as to highlight what their pain points are, but so that they can be relatable with what you've got going on, or
Yeah.
you've done in your life. So they're understanding, they're putting, okay, yes, I do not want to go back to work again on Monday, or no, this is something I'm struggling with. And it helps them realize, okay, it's time for change for me.
Yeah. And the more you can, and then you start gathering stories, right? So as you start to find others, and even it can be corporate wise, or you can just find within your challengers, you find those stories and then you start telling those stories. So when you tell a transformation story based on you get a challenge group, you can highlight an aspect of that is, again, hit a pain point, which is great. And then also real quick is the way that challenges work too. The way I title my challenges are going to be based on the structure of this person. So I'm not just going to go like for the person, like, bling and fun. I don't know, wear your bling challenge. I don't know, whatever. It's just, that's not going to relate to her because she's more of a guy gal. And I want to go like kick your butt challenge, boot camp. That word doesn't scare her. So I can use the word boot camp in my thing. I can use the word challenge versus, and again, because that's the type of person because I used to, and I don't know if you guys have kind of following this, is like basically anybody who was breathing, I would put them in my group, right? Anybody who's breathing, hey, gotcha, I'll help you, no problem. And it's not that I don't want to help those people, but the and more have that athletic bent because they're going to push a little bit harder, and they're going to be likely be better coaches in the longer run too. And that's how we run our Coach Basics group. So think about that, guys. If you go and say Coach Basics and you go and make a Coach Basics group, and if I'm struggling with a person who is struggling with time management and everything, and then you set Coach Basics upon them and you've created 20 to 30 minute videos for every day for them to watch. And in addition to that, have them do their coaching business and do their workout and all that stuff. You are crazy, right? Because you're telling them to do something that is absolutely probably impossible for them to get a hold of, okay? So think about, again, even the way you run your Coach Basics. So the way we do our very short video stuff, application, and then we help people make progress towards, their goals that way because at least it fits in within their schedule versus going, here's this giant behemoth of extra stuff that you have to do, and then it pulls them out of action. So that's kind of basically it. Is it real quick? If you want to hear more about this, Amy Porterfield, if you guys are aware of Amy, follow her all the time, but it's podcast episode 106. Are you attracting or repelling your ideal client? She talks to a photographer named Jasmine Starr, who is fantastic. By the way, if you're a blogger, absolutely look at Jasmine Starr's whole way of structuring her blog. It's fantastic. So that's a big one. So check out that podcast. And there's actually, she gives away a freebie in that. She always gives away a freebie each podcast. And that's a resource, that kind of way of talking through your ideal client as well. And I borrowed some of these concepts definitely from her. So basically applying what we would learn today, guys, is take the time. And honestly, I bet you can probably jot this off in about 10 minutes. You can just make a list. And it doesn't need to be scientific, especially early on. And then post that someplace prominently. So then as you're going through your things and you're planning your social media calendar, maybe for the week or for the month, then you can kind of make some ideas about what you're going to try to hit. So you're not always hitting the same pain points. And it also can really relate to is maybe even the coaching opportunity. Like if you're going to do a theme for your coaching opportunity, you basically just, instead of, Melanie Mitra does this all the time, instead of just coaching opportunity is the sell, it's like, no, life by design. No, live out your dream or live your passion or whatever, that kind of stuff. Or up for a challenge, I don't know, whatever, you come up something like that. And that can help you then ultimately fuel that next group of people, and you're going to attract that type of person that you really want. So I would say thanks for listening. And if you have any questions.
All right, guys, let's open it up for questions. Anybody have any questions for Dan at this point?
You don't have to. It's okay.
All right, guys. Well, what I want to say honestly is, as far as the recruiting side of things is concerned, identifying all of this stuff really is going to be one of the most crucial steps you can do. If you're not doing this, what you're going to see is you're going to bring people on board sometimes who aren't really going to fit well with the team, who aren't really going to jive well. And if they don't feel comfortable and they don't feel energized and motivated by the team, then it's easier for them to fall away. And then you want to be recruiting the type of people that you want to be at your coach retreat in Maui with, like, in 2 years. You know what I mean? These are the type of people you want to be able to spend, 5 days in a vacation retreat with, and not only just be able to get through, but have a blast. You know what I mean? In the end, that's really going to be the type of person that's going to stick around and that's going to really mesh well with you and that's going to jive well with the team. I
have a question for Dan.
Sure.
I was just wondering, do you find that recruiting comes, like, people come to you through your posts, or do you still do a lot of personal recruiting, like PMing people that you're like, the hey girl, like, I've noticed your inspirational post, or I've noticed you love coffee. I'm the same way, targeting those points of people that I would relate to. And I do personal messaging, but I'm just wondering if, like, how you find recruiting to be the best.
Yeah, I tend to reach out if going to go that way. It will be generally more if it would be like, I noticed you were a trainer or something like that kind of a thing. Because here's the reality as it relates. Because I can relate, because I just shut down my gym. Is I can relate to those type of people because they struggle, because they're teaching 50 billion classes and they're not making much cash. And I just got off a message with this. She's teaching her third class of today, and it was only 11 o'clock. And she's like, I know I've got to watch this, because I keep sending her my coach webinar opportunity video, because she can't the time to make it to my live one, right, is the thing. And we're trying to get her, at least I'm going, girl, this is symptomatic. This is exactly why you need to really consider this, because she's overhit. But I would say kind of the combo of the sneak peek deal is going to be part of it for recruiting for coaches. Certainly challengers within the challenge groups themselves. And then occasionally on the personal messaging. But if that's going to be generally the people, they sort of come, like you said, I think because of the vibe that I've sort of sent out and kind of they do come to me a bit. Yeah.
Okay. I know, like, I always tell my team, match what you do in private or match what you do in public and private. So if you're inviting to the coaching opportunity and somebody doesn't respond, but they go check you out on your page, if you're not matching what you do on your, publicly, they're not going to respond to that. So I try to tell my team, I'm like, that's great. You messaged 20 people. I went to your page and you shared a recipe from some cookbook, and, like,
totally.
They don't see you as a leader or of a business. So I was just wondering, like, on your perspective, I know I post about the coaching opportunity a lot, because that's who I'm looking for. I mean, I love helping people, but I can help those, new coaches work on their goals. And that's what I'm trying to do, is build a business, not build an empire of awesome challengers.
Yeah. And I think that's,
but, like, my posting gears towards that person, like you're saying, my Amy.
Yeah.
Like, I'm looking for busy women that this is completely possible, because I did it with a full-time job and a baby on my hip.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that the big thing with that is that we just look like fitness nuts.
Yeah.
Really, if we don't.
I see fitness nuts all the time. I'm like, they must. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's the type of thing. And I think people who are, especially my coaches, I've talked to them about this, is the fact that if they, oh man, I wish I had some business builders on my team, wish I had business builders. Well, again, if you're never posting about the business opportunity, all you're going to potentially get is your challengers, who probably may or may not be interested. So.
Right.
Cool.
Good deal, guys. Any other questions for Dan? All right, everyone. So I'm going to challenge you guys as well as Dan. If you haven't already done this already, identify who your ideal coach is, right? And I'd love to be able to see some examples of what your guys' ideal coaches are. So if you haven't done it yet, I'd love to be able to see those posted up on our Facebook group. If you have not signed up to present yet, I'm also going to put that challenge out there again for you guys to present. And let's finish this month strong. Let's go into July, guns blazing, like I said, make things happen really early on. It's going to be easier for you by the time July wraps up. So that's great. Dan, you're a stud. Thank you so much for representing guys here on this call. It's awesome to be able to have you here. Guys, if there's nothing else, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and wrap up today. And if you have any other questions for Dan or anything else, please shoot it over to him. I'll be posting up the recording on our Facebook group shortly.
Can you share a link so it's shareable to our teams? Like I think some of my leaders would like this.
I'll put it up on YouTube.
Cool.
I'll put it up on YouTube if that's cool with you, Dan. And then I'll just post the YouTube link in our group. All right, everybody. Thanks a lot for showing up to the call, and we'll catch you guys next. Well, actually, last thing, we're not going to be here next week due to the 4th of July holiday. So we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah.